Proverbs 21:31. A horse is ready for a day of the battle, but it's victory that rests with the Lord. And this verse can be taken in many ways. One way is that we, as human beings, we can only do so much in our life. And sometimes we feel like we have to do this, and we're alone. It's all in our hands. And sometimes we forget that we have a God, an all-loving God, all-powerful, all-knowing God. And sometimes we let our life, our words get ahead of us. Sometimes we think our problems are so much that we think God is finite. Sometimes that we think that God cannot help us out of the situation, that God won't see a way. And we do that by worrying, doubting. Is this really what's going to work? Is this really gonna happen? Is this gonna go the way I want it to? I feel like sometimes we're so worried about our own will that we forget about God's will in our life. And we forget that God has the final say. And it says in Romans 8:28 that God does good for all those who love Him. You know, that, and if you do the purpose of God, He will guide you. He will set your path straight. If you eat His fruit, you study on His word. Do what you need to do. Follow His will, not yours. You have nothing to worry about. You wouldn't doubt your situation or the things you're experiencing in your life. You will know that I have the creator of the universe, the creator of the whole ocean, all these mountains that we're seeing. That same person is on my side. That same person is guiding every foot, every step I take. And I feel like we are those horses. We get ourselves ready. We think that I'm going to do this and that. And how many times have we planned things saying, this is going to happen when I'm done with this school. I'm going to go to this college. After I go to that college, I'm going to get this job. And we find out that none of that goes the way that we planned. And it goes in a completely 360 direction, opposite direction. Just a 180. And we realize that wow, those plans I've had, I'm nothing. We realize that I'm nothing. But some people despair. They go into depression. They get anxiety. They say that, what's the point of all this? Why am I doing this if I'm meant to fail? Why am I doing this if I have no control? No, you shouldn't think like that. If you think like that, of course you're going to get depressed. Of course you're going to get sad. But you have to remember that someone else is guiding your steps. Someone else is walking along with your journey. You're not alone. And that someone loves you dearly. And sometimes bad things happen to you, but at the same time, you gotta know that all the stuff that happens to you, you gotta realize that you have someone that can overcome all those things. And that one person overcame death in 3 days. You telling me you can't fix that problem you have in your life? You telling me he can't do what he needs to do? He can't solve your situation? He can. He can. And the only way he can do that is if you let him in. Accept him. Get to know him. Have a relationship with him. You have to be connected with him and know that and believe in your heart that he will do the things he said he will. God won't help you if you put it all to yourself. God won't come in your life if you don't make room for him. You have all these people in the room with you, but you're missing the most important person. If a project starts for school or for work, and you'll need the guidebook. You need that one person, the team leader, the captain. God is that guidebook. God is that team leader. You can't do anything if you don't know what you're doing. You have no clue what you're doing. You may think you know, but you don't. And that's the reality. You can't control what goes on in your life, but someone can, and that's God. So would you rather go around doing the work, the little things that you can to help fix your life, or give it to someone that can? God, when you do give it to him and when you do let him do his work in your life, he's not just going to snap his finger and just everything will just be perfect. He can, but that's just not the way God works. You have to let him in, continue to gradually speak to him, talk to him, pray to him every day, read that Bible every day. Something I struggle with too, but it's something that we must continue to remind ourselves that pick up that Bible, read that word. And that's the way you can have your conversation with God and meditate on it. And when you do let God in your life, you'll be like, wow, this is God. There's sometimes that some things in your life, you're just like, that's God. People say coincidence, luck. I don't believe in that. I believe in Jesus Christ. And I believe that all the things that have happened to me, everything happens for a reason. And I know that God is continuing to guide my steps as long as I continue to be near him and don't turn my back on him. God will never turn your back on you. God is always there by your side. There's some things that God works in a way that, the saying that God works in mysterious ways, which he does. And God works in a way that sometimes we may not understand. We may not get that job we wanted. For example, I was hoping to get this one job. I was working so hard for it, months, just dreaming about it, thinking about it. And when the opportunity came, I didn't get selected. And I turned my back on God and saying, God, this, white, that, white, so and so. And I realized, how can I question him? It says in the Bible, how can a pottery question the potter and say, why did you make me like this? God is the same way. How can we ask him, why did you this and that? We don't know. We're not omniscient. We're not all powerful. We don't know. We're, like I said, we're finite. We're small beings. That's what we are. And God, he knows all. So sometimes you just gotta keep going. I think, and that is also thoughts from demons, from evil spiritualities. It says that that our battle is not against man, it's against evil spiritualities and demons. And sometimes those bad thoughts that you have are not from God. God will never give you a thought to question himself, if that makes sense. God will never do that. And sometimes you let those thoughts creep in, and it grows and grows to the point where you start doing actions that you weren't doing before. And we start distancing ourselves from God. And God will never want you to do that. God will never want you to stop reading your Bible. God will never want you to stop praying to him. That's from demons and evil spirits. And those things exist. Some people say, I don't believe. No, it exists because it happens to everybody. Those thoughts, that we have to learn how to shut them out. Or when we do have those thoughts, we turn to God automatically. And that's something I struggle with to this day. And it's something that we'll be struggling with for the rest of our lives. But that's the whole point. It's fighting that fighting and continues to stay on that path to the point where when those times comes, we know what to do. It's gonna happen, but it's up to you to whether you'll let it keep happening, or would you turn to the solution right away. It's up to you. It's in your hands. So that's what I want to say. And yeah.